Good morning. This is John from the Springs Mennonite Church, and I'm here today to talk again about the story of Abram, found in the book of Genesis. Now, the last time we talked, in chapter 12, Abram had tried to pawn his wife off as his sister, and that didn't go over too well. Today, I want to read in chapter 20, and in between, Abram has had conversations with God, and God changed his name to Abraham. Sodom and Gomorrah have been destroyed, and a lot of things have happened that would be obvious that God was in charge and God knew what he was doing. You would think that by now Abraham would be a tower of strength and faith. But if you thought that, you would be wrong. Let's look at chapter 20, beginning with the first verse. Abraham moved south to the Negev and lived for a while between Kadesh and Shur. Then he moved on to Gerar. While living there as a foreigner, Abraham introduced his wife Sarah by saying, "She is my sister." Does that sound familiar? So King Abimelech of Gerar sent for Sarah and had her brought to him at the palace. But that night, God came to Abimelech in a dream and told him, "You are a dead man, for the woman you have taken is already married." But Abimelech did not sleep with her yet. And so he said, "Lord, will you destroy an innocent man? Didn't Abraham tell me she is my sister? And didn't she herself say, 'Yes, he is my brother'? I acted in complete innocence. My hands are clean." In the dream, God responded, "Yes, I know you're innocent. That's why I kept you from sinning against me and why I did not let you touch her. Now return the woman to her husband, and he will pray for you, for he is a prophet. Then you will live, and if you don't return her to him, you can be sure that you and all your people will die." Well, here's Abraham. He's up to his old tricks. He's watched God do incredible things. And then when he gets put in a position where he's trapped, he thinks, what does he do? He goes back to saying, she's my sister. She's not my wife. He fudges again. Now, why does he fudge? Well, I don't really know the answer to that. The conversation goes on here. You can check it out. But maybe he fudges again because believing God and trusting God is hard. It certainly was for him. Probably is for you and me. But in this story, the king is visited by God in a dream and told the consequences of him taking a married woman. Now, just as an aside, it's interesting that David does essentially the same thing, and it works out a little differently. Maybe I'll talk about that sometime. But Abimelech wants to honor God, and he said, "Please, I didn't do anything. I'm innocent." That's what he told me. And God gave Abimelech another chance, and Abimelech gave Abraham a big piece of his mind. So what's going on here? Why is it that Abraham repeats the same thing after being admonished in chapter 12? In chapter 20, he does it again. Well, like I said, I think maybe Abraham's finding out that trusting God is sometimes hard. It's easy to trust God when everything's going well. It's easy to believe God when there's nothing bad on the horizon. It's hard to trust God when you're put on a spot. And Abraham is on a spot. He's a foreigner in this strange land. Evidently, Sarah was really beautiful, even though she was old. Apparently, she was a very desirable person. And so, before anything happens, Abraham already repeats the crazy lie that he did in chapter 12. Just tell him you're my sister. And it almost backfires completely because Abimelech would have gone after Abraham if he had sinned and slept with Sarah. He'd have gone after Abraham with a vengeance, and Abraham probably would have been killed. You see, sometimes, maybe not always, but sometimes our disbelief makes things even worse. You see, if we could just understand this relationship with God, and if you have a really good one, maybe yours can get better. If you don't have one at all, maybe this is a good time to start. But God has this plan, if you will. Here's what I want you to do. And that means here's what he wants you to do. And the one thing that he says over and over and over and over is to trust him. Why can't we get that through our heads? Well, because we're human beings. And we can't see what God sees. And we can't understand what God understands. But yet we are called to constantly do the best we can and then get better at trusting him. So I'd like for you to think about today, how much do you really trust God? Now, don't tell me, oh, I'm walking with him every day. Think about the time when something awful happened. What did you do? How did you respond? That measures how much you're able to trust God. But if you didn't do too well, okay, next time do better. God forgives and gives us more opportunities to walk with him. And that's exactly what he's going to be doing throughout this coming new year. And I hope that when you find yourself in a spot, certainly not like Abraham here, but maybe just as devastatingly in terms of its possibilities, I hope your first response will be to trust God and do what he wants. Will you think about that? I'll be back tomorrow. Got 2 more days to talk about this fellow Abraham and his walk with God and how it affects us. If you have a need or a concern, let us know. We'll do whatever we can as fast as we can to help meet your need. Thanks so much. I'll talk to you again.